and you're new to this, you should not bet. You should not risk any more than 1 to 2% of that in any one trade. So the maximum loss, ladies and gentlemen, that you ever have on any one trade should never be more than 2,000 rand. And that will keep you alive.
January 9th, 2026. Let's see how many times our strategy came into effect. And let's go over the trades that I took today. I took 5 trades today. 3 of them were wins, 2 losses. The losses were small and the wins were wonderful. Now let's talk about the context, because we had a very important moment today, which is this: a triple level. That is an extremely rare event, and I can't wait to go over it. We're going to go over it right now. So here's the situation. The yesterday's high right here and the pre-market high were very close to each other. So, and this was just a rough, this was the pre-market high, this was yesterday's high, orange, red. But what is this purple? Why is this purple here? Okay. At the end of every week, you want to mark previous week's highs and lows. That's very critical. So the purple line was last week's high. Okay? So we've got last week's high, we've got the pre-market high, and we've got yesterday's high, all this close to each other. Do you see that? That's exciting, to be honest with you. That is exciting because we don't have to use any second-hand software. We don't have to use an app, whatever, Bookmap. You don't have to look at some sort of other thing. You know intuitively that there's a lot of orders here, whether they be buy orders or sell orders. So anyway, that's what this triple level means. Now, let's look at the daily momentum indicator. So we got some, as you can see, these were large swings of momentum, and then the momentum started dying down. This is a daily MACD histogram, so this is the momentum of a daily perspective. So things are coiling down, they're losing speed, and now the momentum is building back to the upside. It's holding that upward bias. And we go into today and we look for the alignment of the 5-minute twins, and then we take the trade. That's what we do. We just work the strategy. We don't ask questions. Right here on this yellow line is where I took my first trade, right here to the downside, a short trade. Why did I do that? Look at the 5-minute data has been selling off to this point, and it's now crossing over. It's in the midst of crossing over. The 5-minute extended hours has been in the negative side all morning leading up to this point, and it's now building to the downside as well. So when I saw this volume confluence, a volume bar greater than the previous 3, when I saw this, I was like, yep, it's now's the time. So I entered at the close of the candle, this candle right here, because that's where the volume confluence occurs. That's where our entry is. I entered at that close of the candle, and then stop loss slightly above that candle, targeting a 2-to-1, and then letting runners keep running to take additional profits as they hit different metrics. There was a win right there. My next trade on the day was right here, because at this point we are flipping to the upside. We've got momentum building to the upside on this 5-minute extended chart. On the 5-minute regular chart, it's also reflecting the same. Not very strong though. So this is a high risk play, okay? I look to the higher time frames for more context. 30-minute going up strong, 2-hour going up strong. And remember from our daily, when we looked at the daily MACD histogram is holding to the upside, but it's just not very relevant because it's weak, the daily MACD indicator. So these higher time frames are sort of giving me permission. So I did take this trade here. And this was a grand trade, meaning the price never came back to this point. I called one of the bottoms of the day. Long right here, same logic. Stop loss right below that candle. Target a 2-to-1, take profit at the 2-to-1 area. Then you let your runners continue running to make more and more money for you. So that was the only 2 trades I took today in NQ, TQQQ, NASDAQ. Very, very interesting to see this triple level that we called in called out early that we explained. It was so interesting to see that, because we knew this going into before the market even opened. We knew this was a level. So as it approached, why didn't I take this trade? Think about this. It's approaching this triple level. The 5-minute MACD is building. We had a volume confluence right here, volume bar greater than the previous 3, even this previous one as well, which is why I marked it. See this blue? That's why I marked that blue right there. And I didn't act on it. So that was one of my biggest mistakes today. That was my largest mistake today, is being scared and not acting on what I could see in front of me. The other trades I took today were with GM. So General Motors, GM, had really bad news come out recently with regards to money, with regards to their money and their pursuits into electric vehicles. It was just a bad news headline, right? So that drives the stock down. And I missed this opportunity right here because I was focusing on the NASDAQ. But look at this trade that occurred. We're on the right side of the momentum. Everything is aligned. We had a power volume bar. This was my trade. This was my setup. This belonged to me, and I missed it. So that stings. All right, so we're waiting the rest of the day. We're waiting for an opportunity to short because of the sediment, negative news net sediment. And we get a situation where the MACD is almost crossing over to the downside, which is what we want. We want it to be close or crossed over, expanding in the direction of our trade. We get a volume confluence right here. So I entered short, and it never went shorter. It only went up from this point. So that's a loss. And then the next time it happened was right here. Same thing. We're going down. I get a volume confluence on the right side of the momentum. And it never went any lower, so that was another loss. And then we caught a big one right here. We had a huge candle emerge. This brought the 5-minute MACD back up into positive momentum. And I entered late at this next candle, and I took good profits up here. And then my runners continued running a little bit further. That was the third and final trade of the day, and that was the week. And I will see you in the next one. Take care.